I'm going to take the Raiders because I think it means more. I mean, it's the whole season. They have a playoff shot.
Yeah.
They're just both flawed enough to... The end of that Chargers-Atlanta game yesterday was the two franchises in the NFL, Joy, that throw away more games they win.
I felt like it was like the battle of who is more Atlanta.
Atlanta West, Atlanta South.
Yes. It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. Trent Dilfer, 15 years in the NFL, a Super Bowl and a Pro Bowl, a head football coach, got to the state final Lipscomb Academy. He's now joining us from his beautiful home in the mountains. I know where it is. I'm not going to tell anybody. I love having inside information. So I want to talk to you about, not only did you play in Tampa, and I worked in Tampa, but there buys matter in this league. Andy Reid off a bye. Is Sean Payton off a bye? Not everybody uses the bye the same way. So Tampa comes off a bye, and I watched that game, and I thought, hell, if Minnesota had a field goal kicker, they don't win that football game. Like, what I see when I look at Tampa, Trent, I see a collection of talent. I don't see it. I just don't see an identity. What am I missing with Tampa?
I don't think you're missing anything. I think they're a really good football team. I think they're going to get in the playoffs, probably win the first round, and get beat in the second round. Everybody's going to go, why didn't they win the Super Bowl? They got Tom Brady. It takes time, and I think you use the key word. I don't think they have their identity yet. Every week offensively, it juggles back between we're going to be spread one week, the next week we're going to use big sets and run the ball and play action. They need to settle on who they are offensively. Defensively, we know what they are. They're a blitz-happy defense. That works a lot of times, but there's also times the teams know how to gash that, so they need to settle into that a little bit. And they need to be more of a three-phase football team. When they were dominant early in the year, no sacks, no turnovers, dominant special teams. They've slid since then. I think they're a good team, not a great team.
So you can talk specifically to this. You played on some good teams, but you played on one unbelievable team, and that's Baltimore. And I don't remember the specifics of the season, but Kansas City's kind of got into a malaise, and this is gambling talk, but they haven't covered in 5 weeks, and the reason is defensively, they're not all buttoned up. So go back to your Baltimore season. When you know you're great, and you see all the alphas, and you see all that, you watch the film, and you know you're shutting teams down. Did you guys have a 3 or 4 week malaise where it's like, man, here comes teams we should beat. We just beat them earlier. Is it hard to be great?
I think it's hard to be great every week. Too often in the TV business, people want to talk about everybody's ceiling. The sexy, flashy thing to do is talk about the bells and whistles, the sizzle, the ceiling of a team in all sports. What matters in the NFL is your floor. How high is your floor? Can you win with C- football? And trust me, that Baltimore team, we had to absorb some D- quarterback play for myself. So we were able to win with playing C football. That's what I see with the Chiefs right now. They're kind of lollygagging around. Last week it was red zone. They were stinky. This week they turned the ball over. One week they give up too many yards. They might not be great on special teams, and yet they still win. And a lot of these games they win easily or comfortably. Like you're like, they're not really ever going to lose this game. They're sloppy. They're not really sharp, and they still win. And I think that's the thing about the Chiefs. Well, I don't think they're vulnerable. I think their floor is so high that even when they don't play well, they have enough difference makers. They have the best player on the planet in Patrick Mahomes. They have a coaching staff that's hyper-aggressive. As you saw yesterday, they're really solid on special teams. I think this is a team that can play B- football and still win the Super Bowl.
So I want to go to the Bills because you've been doing Elite 11 forever. So every time I bring up a quarterback in the last 10 years, you saw him at 16. And so the story on Josh Allen is small California town. Nobody offers him. You know, it's a kid. He doesn't fill out till later. He's probably, I don't know what he looked like. He's probably a gangly kid with a big arm, small town, bad football league. Nobody pays attention. And all of a sudden you watch the last 2 or 3 weeks and you're like, outside of Mahomes, I think I'd build my franchise with that guy. When did you first get your eyes on Josh Allen of the Bills?
When he was at Wyoming, saw the talent, obviously. The raw horsepower just jumps off the tape, and then you get to meet him a little bit, spend some time with him. I was wrong on Josh Allen. I thought he would be a really, really good NFL quarterback in 3 to 5 years. I said, this kid's going to need some time. He's going to need to develop. He's got to get to the big stage. He's got to work on some technique things. He's got to stop throwing fire all the time and learn some touch. And all of a sudden, even last year, there were times like, wow, this is going to be one of the best players in all football. And right now you're seeing it. I think there's a lot of things. Number one, you got to talk about him and how he was raised. If you ever drive through Fireball, California, you're going to realize really quick that there's really solid values. It's simple. It's about hard work, toughness. I think he has all those things. The people he surrounded himself with. I'll give Jordan Palmer a ton of credit. Jordan has kind of adopted him as a surrogate brother since he came out for the draft. Has really raised him in the NFL life. And then obviously his coaching staff at Buffalo has done an incredible job. Just giving, spoon feeding him what he needs each step of the way. And then this year just saying, okay, Josh, it's yours, baby. We're going to go get you a bunch of weapons and let you roll. This kid's a special kid, a special talent, and I think you're looking at a guy that's going to be one of the better players in the National Football League for the next 10-plus years.
Trent Dilfer joining us. Explain to me, I've seen this happen so many times, where a quarterback gets inserted in due to an injury or Carson Wentz isn't playing, and you put him in, and Philadelphia's defense played better. So explain to me how it works in a locker room. We think Wentz has more elite talent than Jalen, but they have an identity. You just watch it and you're like, God, I've seen this so many times. Explain why it works.
So I think you have to, when you have this conversation, it can't be Wentz or Hurts. You can't say, well, if we're going to say good things about Jalen Hurts, we're saying bad things about Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is a unique talent that's going through a really, really funky stage of his career. He needs a giant reset. He needs something dramatic to happen to get him back to where he was. So we're not saying bad things about Carson Wentz. But what Jalen Hurts brings you is that spark, hope. Hope in the NFL is huge. These guys' bodies hurt. They're tired this year, especially with they're having to give up with all the COVID regulations. Just life is really hard at the end of the year in the NFL. And you're just clinging to hope. I need something to make me believe. And Jalen Hurts becomes that for the Philadelphia Eagles. Helps the run game. If you notice, they were what we call a nub formation, tight end, three receivers, shotgun, a lot of zone read, a lot of using Jalen Hurts as a threat in the run game. It changes up gap responsibility, so you gave him a spark in the run game. Big plays. You saw that he's a good vertical passer. He gave Alshon Jeffrey a chance down there in the red zone. He took some shots. So all of a sudden you start doing things offensively that maybe you weren't doing with the other guy. But anytime you talk about the spark quarterback, the second quarterback, you also have to look at consistency and longevity. How long can this work and how consistent can you be with this guy? And I think that's what the Philadelphia Eagles have to figure out for the remainder of the season.
And finally, again, take me back to your career. So I use you all the time for this. You always told me years ago, everybody reacts to losing in the NFL the same way. They're angry and they focus in.
Your wife's ugly, your food sucks, nothing's good, you don't like your kids, your dogs, you want to get rid of them,
But winning is different. And some teams win and they party all week and they think they've arrived, and the next week they lay an egg. So last week for Cleveland was about as big a win as they have had in 10 years. And then tonight, it's a divisional rival. As you know, divisional rivals know your personnel. There'll be no tricks. You know exactly what Baltimore's going to do. They know exactly what you're going to do. What do you expect? And do you have an experience in your life where you were with a team that in one of these moments just wasn't ready to play?
Yeah, how you handle success is everything in the NFL, as you were saying. I think with this is a unique part of this game. Stefanski is an incredible coach. What he's done is amazing. Don't want to take anything away from it. And, played for the Browns for 1 year, so I'm excited about what they're doing, and I'm rooting for their success. This is his 13th game coaching in the National Football League. So this is his 13th time he's had to have some between-game narrative, conversation plan for his team. John Harbaugh's 222nd. Now think about that. 13 to 222, and all the other elements that you've talked about. I'm on the Browns. I like the Browns. I think they win a playoff game. I don't just think they're a playoff team. I think they're good enough to win a playoff game. But in this matchup, considering what you said, coming off the huge win, John Harbaugh's Baltimore Ravens being desperate, the pedigree that they have, the championship mindset they have, I like the Ravens in this game for that reason. I think the longer the game goes, the more complex decision-making that's going to happen. And I trust John Harbaugh in his 222nd time of handling these complex issues in game more than I trusted Cleveland.
Ah, crap. I got the wrong side. I seriously, I don't even know if I can. Honestly, I just know I just picked the wrong side. I'm done with you, Dilfer. Now I'm in a bad mood. That made so much sense. Why couldn't I have talked to you before I put money on it? All right, Trent Dilfer in a beautiful mountain home somewhere undisclosed location. Great seeing you, and best to you and your family.
Thanks, brother. See ya.
Yeah, didn't that make so much sense? Didn't that you're like, oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
You never know, though.
Yeah, the Steelers have been in those games a lot.
Yeah.
Did nothing. By the way, new streaming service. It's called Discovery Plus. The shows you love, exclusive originals, starting next year. New streaming service, Discovery Plus. U.S. only. Joy Taylor.